Good morning, brother and sister Cook County. We wish we we've been here 40 years, but we can't be there today because of the pandemic. One of you are trapped in this pandemic today. We're going to fight to get your health restored. 8 people have died, inmates and the workers of Cook County. It's not right to be trapped in that situation. Two things for us. Number one, don't be here next year. Number two, don't do anything to keep you in there longer. We're going to fight to get you free, and free indeed. Because we can't be there. My son Jonathan and I, we were having a meeting to talk about some of what we see, what the real meaning of the day is. It's not about Santa Claus and trinkets. It has real meaning. Talk about the real meaning of Christmas, Jonathan.
Great to be with you again on this Christmas program again, Dad. And what you've shared with us over the years in Christmas is unto us a son is born, a child is given. It's a story of hope. It's a God coming on earth in the human flesh, a story of redemption, a story of salvation, a story that was meant to reach out to the poor, the lost, the least of these, those who have been left behind, the teenage mother that was impregnated in miraculous service, if you will, an unemployed father and had the faith to stay with his wife. And they challenged Herod, and it was a people's will for self-determination, and that this is indeed a divine moment. And so out of that, we have joy to the world.
Serious moment in history.
There's hope for the world. And unfortunately, where we are now, that we have to reclaim, if we will, the true meaning of the gospel, is to bring hope to the poor. That the mass secularization seems to have been accelerated. Unfortunately, when people should be given hope and a reason to live and hope and a reason to understand salvation, now it's become purely materialism.
Here's a baby that was born in the slums, born outdoors in the wintertime. He was scheduled to be killed at birth. Mary and Joseph, his mother and father, took him to Egypt as an immigrant, and saved him. 12 years old, so no matter where you're born and you rise above your situation. Taught the message, you rise above your situation. Born in the slum, someone born in him.
And the young couple had to do their government duty. They had to be counted in the census. They had to pay their taxes. And through King, if you will, Herod, that was a despot that was placed over another people, and the people were coming into their own. And they were looking for a symbol from God. It was a 400-year expectation, the season of Advent, high expectation. And I think that your religious philosophy and the spirit of Reverend Martin Luther King and Dr. Howard Thurman and Samuel Proctor, looking for the authentic Jesus. Reverend Jeanette Wilson has talked about that oftentimes, but that's what we are to claim, the authentic Jesus and not this commercialization.
One thing we've done this year, last year we were able to get inside the jail a precinct.
A precinct for voting.
You can vote. If you're not in prison, you're not been convicted. You're pre-trial detention. You have the right to vote. You can vote for the judge, district attorney. You can vote for the U.S. attorney. You can vote for governor, president. You have the power. We want to keep you with your power.
The whole idea of citizenship and separating those that have been jailed, those waiting for a trial, so therefore they are innocent until proven guilty. They're full citizens, and their rights should be absolutely exercised. And the right of citizenship means that you can vote. Non-citizens cannot vote. Every citizen should vote. Even in this year, 2020, when we've seen this record high voting turnout, still 80 million people did not vote. We've got over 150 million people that did vote, 155 million, but still 80 million people did not use their franchise. And those persons, if we can reach them now, we pray that you come alive in Georgia.
Malcolm X was in jail, locked away. Turned his jail cell into a classroom, to a prayer room. He read, he thought, he planned to get out. Sometimes we plan to get back. If you do what you did to get there, you'll come back again. You must plan the day to get out and don't come back.
Well, no plan is a plan to get back because it's a vicious system that it's almost having to break away out of the centrifugal force that's pulling young people down. And oftentimes, like you say, even if they build the jails, we have to make a commitment not to fill them up. And I think it starts with the sense of hope this mindless materialism. Somebody's going to go to jail right now that's watching us trying to get a PS5, a PlayStation for a child. The child is going to end up with the consequence of not having their parent, not having their brother, not having their sister, their auntie, their loved one, because they were trying to satisfy a commercial need or commercial desire, if you will, to have a toy, when your presence, your being, is more important than the toy, the present. So I am happy that you instilled in us that that's not the meaning of Christmas, to give away toys.
It's about people, about a child trapped in a situation not of his own choosing, could have been killed. His mother and father came to the rescue. I want you to come to your children's rescue as well. One of the concerns I have done about this year is that this COVID-19 epidemic, you should be tested while there. If you found positive, you should be put in a proper place. Kim Fox, she used to be 10,000 of you in Cook County, now it's 4,000. Those of you there who are for purely reasons you don't have the
Economics, the bail bonds.
we'll fight hard to get you out of jail. Maybe at least one ankle bracelet. Don't get used to jail. Don't get used to it.
Well, and it's a national problem. The Marshall Project goes on to show that almost 1 in 5 persons in American prisons now have contracted COVID. That is astonishing, that persons that were given a jail sentence should be given a death sentence. We're looking at 1 in 5 persons that have been incarcerated in prison, not the county jails, now has contracted COVID. The state of Illinois has an obligation. Our governor here in the state of Illinois should have something to say about this. And it's a matter of character on coming out on the right side of history. These persons' lives are in jeopardy. These persons are contracting a deadly virus, and yet there's too much silence. So I'm proud to serve as the national spokesperson and to raise my voice, and let's put the light in these dark places.
Fight the right thing. You heard, saw TV the other day. That woman in her home, 11 police went into her house, her naked, searching for a drug dealer who was not there. He didn't live there. We've been picking and protesting that, because you come out of jail, come out fighting. We also want to work on a thing. We want you to get computers so you can learn how to program and apps and codes and get a skill. Turn jail cell into an opportunity to develop and to grow.
I know, and regarding the lady whose house was kicked in, officers have to be made accountable. The city of Chicago did not do that. There were men and women that worked in the force that should be held responsible personally.
Should be fired.
Should be fired and held personally responsible. You can't keep abusing people and then creating settlements and raising taxes on everyone else. So all of us that have to pay taxes are in fact participating in what was evil. This reminded me of something as horrific as the story of Sarah Bartman, Venus Hottentot, to see a black woman with no clothes handcuffed around all men for better than an hour. I can't help but think about Ahmaud Arbery down in Georgia. The people that killed him were not handcuffed. One of the officers was offered a cup of water. They were given dignity. And what we saw in Chicago with the gross incompetency is the suspect they were looking for had on an ankle bracelet and was in the unit next door where they were supposed to be. So was this a computer failure, a system failure? Was this the person that put the bracelet on? Like, someone should be held accountable and personally responsible.
Racism is a factor, Jonathan. If 11 black police are going and probably would have been naked, it'd been a different outcome.
Oh, it's terrible. You know, and also the social media companies that, when we look at Google and the Facebook, the apps and the algorithms that they are putting into these feedback systems where drugs are distributed evenly across Chicago as in most other cities. But why do the police focus only on the black and the brown areas? That's because of the computer programs that are giving them the feedback to target those areas. Then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is racist at its very core, and they need to be held accountable on who's writing the program. That's why we need these young men and women that hear our voice in jail. They've got minds and guidance to script genius all over time. You need to be a programmer to make it a fair and unbiased program.
Well, you're alive. There's life, there's hope. Hope has many possibilities. First of all, decide today you're coming out. There's nothing to stay there long. You're coming out. and you will join the freedom movement. We're going to turn jails into classrooms. We were in South Africa, Mandela. His jail cell became a museum.
I can't help but think about when you mentioned President Mandela's name. I remember when we last saw him together, and I'm sure he would be so proud of you and looking down from heaven now. He addressed you and said, "Freedom fighter." His ankles were swollen. He wasn't receiving public guests anymore. But you never stopped, Dad. You just keep on fighting. What drives you to keep fighting?
Well, I think it's self-respect and dignity. I went to jail. I was 19 years old. Went to jail. I used the public library, and we broke the barrier. Arrested. Again in Greensboro 2 years later, trying to use a downtown facility. We won those battles. We won the right to use libraries, the right to vote, and great changes. But Jonathan, every day I wake up feeling there's work to be done. And I think about Cook County Jail today. I'm not satisfied with the jail being full of our people. Sick people who can't afford bail, who need a skill. Want to help you if you help yourself.
You know, when you mentioned that about South Carolina going to jail at the age of 19, South Carolina was the first state to make it illegal for black folks to read. For your first act of civil disobedience, if you will, true American independence and righteous indignation, I would like to say, is pretty profound.
If you can read, write, and think, you cannot be contained. That's the real point. So while in jail, Malcolm learned to read and write, to think. He figured how to get out and not come back. Many of you may have been there before. Learn a lesson. Go another way. Wise men go another way. Don't go back to the same situation.
And you mentioned Malcolm several times. Malcolm Little in Detroit Red, they called him. He realized he was illiterate when he went in there and just picked up a dictionary and read all 50,000 words and used that as an arsenal, exalted himself by picking up one dictionary. And the irony of that is you can buy a dictionary, you can get one for free, and you can get them at the dollar bookstore, and you can download them for free. We have to read.
The library and the jail. Use the library. And most of all, if you're in jail, they change your mind. The man or woman thinking, so is he or so is she. Change your mind. Determine you'll meet your family next Christmas. You get out of there soon because if you're there, you're not convicted, you're free to leave. We'll work on getting you out. You must come out, you must stay out, Jonathan.
With a plan. Fail to plan, plan to fail. And we know that there are obstacles, there's challenges, there are roadblocks, there's broken steps, there's glass, that there are many things that are designed to keep us down, but we're resilient people. And we've had it harder. I've heard Reverend Wilson talk about before, when we had to learn to read in slavery under a candlelight, under the moonlight. We have to have at least that much of our ancestors' fuel in our soul in order to seek freedom.
That's why I said my mind is a pearl. I can learn anything. They call it the coronavirus. A black woman was the lead scientist on trying to cure this virus.
And black women were the lead people to get the Americans to the moon. And like you said the other night, we were talking.
The hidden figures.
Right, that the whole idea of keeping our history suppressed. Like, who knew? They put John Glennon in the Senate. We saw a man walk on the moon. But it was a black woman mathematician that was denied access to white schools. But God gave her a great mind. She put man on the moon by doing the math. Because if you're wrong on the takeoff, you can die. If you're wrong on the liftoff, you will die once you get to there. And if you're wrong on the descent coming back to the earth, you will die. Why was that history hidden from us? Because we're great people. We do everything well when given the opportunity. And I will tell you one last thing about that. That black woman, Miss Johnson, who was denied education in the former white schools, was also educated by a black person. I want to know who even educated him. So math was in the bones, math was in the brain. A black person taught her because no white person would. These stories are so empowering. And to know that she lived on the same street as Grandma Gertrude, your mother-in-law and my grandmother, what a people we will be when we learn our history.
Well, all I'm saying to you today is because we have to end this conversation. Your mind is a pearl. You learn anything in the world. Go back and say, I am somebody. Respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. That doesn't break your spirit. God bless you guys. See you pretty soon. Out in the streets, join the picket line. Let's fight back. Let's close these jails and turn them into museums. Love you very much.